We were all just hanging out here chatting amongst ourselves about the various types of things that we chat about. And a few minutes ago, Tucker was like, hey, guys, ready to go? Time, whatever. Like, oh, yeah, we should do that. And I had a question for Nate. Nate had a thing, and we were, continuing to kick the ball around as we do pre-show. And then I saw a little ding on my phone here, and I saw that my mom is just waiting for the show to start. There's a picture of her TV screen and everything. So, look, I mean, the benefit of a podcast is that it just shows up in your feed whenever we've done it and decided that it can be there. Sometimes, if you want to watch along live, see our smiling faces, hear us in real time, sometimes the path to get there is a little weird.
This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
Welcome into Only Weird Games, yet another June edition. So the breaking news is minimal, which actually, considering the time of year it is, we're all pretty grateful for. But there are a whole bunch of things at the top of our minds as we begin to turn the corner closer to training camp. But frankly, Nate, I feel like we ought to just mention this now. You can be as vague or as specific about your destinations as you want. But there's going to be some Josh and Seth shows, unless I can find, some other temporary co-hosts or we figure out a way to spice things up. So I'm not excluding you, Seth. I'm just thinking, are you and I going to get sick of talking to each other for a couple of weeks in early July? Nate,
you're all I need, my friend.
I wish I could say the same to you. Nate, you are going to be the one taking an international jaunt very soon.
Saturday night flashback. Sorry, go ahead. All right, okay, I'm done interrupting. I'm in too good a mood, which means I'm going to be obnoxious. Yes, Nate's going to be gone. Nate, don't leave us.
I will come back. I promise. I don't, I was informed by the person I'm related to by marriage to not really share every detail.
Reasonable.
As much as I would like to, as much as I feel like it's my duty, for our beloved, watchers and listeners.
I forgot how much I liked watchers. I know we just talked about that. Very good.
So yeah, we're gonna have a lovely trip. I'm gonna miss you all for a little bit. I understand that it's I was having a chat with a good friend today, and I was like, based on this and what's coming, I kind of have to get my life in order by the countdown is starting. My life has to get in order sooner rather than later because, ladies and gentlemen, July 16th is coming from my neck. And I'm going to be here. If you all have a lovely calendar, July 16th is a Tuesday.
Yeah.
I will be there. You will have me. And also, I got to get my life in order while also trying to have some version of a vacation. They're not going to do anything to disrupt my free time, right? There's nothing that's going to happen over the next couple of weeks before training camp starts.
Brandon Ayuk is on the phone right now.
They're not gonna do something on 4th of July, right?
I've never been more sure in my life that Creed Humphrey is getting extended than I am in this moment.
And I'm gonna be in a place nowhere near my laptop. Right.
I think sunset on the 4th of July for the Creed extension feels perfect.
Well, yeah, like 10 at night or whenever they've been doing business lately.
Right.
But Nate, hold on, man. I'm so excited you're going on vacation. I appreciate your significant other actually managing to keep control over you, not saying exactly where you are. Like some people I know who are like, well, today we will be in Vernazza of Cinque Terre. And I'm like, doing like a Google map of my exact location. Just daring people to come find
longitude and
me.
Latitude here, fellas.
Yes, my coordinates. Shall you need them are.
So I'm very happy for you. I'm sure the Chiefs will do something crazy while you're gone, which will be fun for Josh and I.
Of course.
More importantly, though, I couldn't help but notice right when you started that, talking about needing to get your life together, you referenced you were talking to a friend.
Yes.
And I
A
know
good
I
friend.
didn't talk to you about this. And I looked at
Uh-huh.
Josh and he shook his head. So, more importantly, have you been making other friends?
Not necessarily new ones. I do want to be clear. You know, this is someone that I think both of you all know. I'm not going to say his name because, again, I got to get my life in order. Okay, I got to understand what I'm doing because, you know, we live in this lovely world because of you all that listen and that watch. Which, again, I'm really appreciative too. It's like, okay, not everybody gets to do what me and Holly are about to do. We've never done what we're about to do, and I hope it all works out. But no, you know, just got to get all the affairs lined up, and not in a grim way, guys. It's just my life,
Man,
And
my
also,
freedom ends on July 16th.
not in a dark way, and also not in a Craig way, which I
Right,
saw over on the chat. There was a brief panic on that front. Nate's
Right
going,
now-
guys. I know this seems alien, but
Nate is
Nate's
going
going
to-
on vacation, so that's the weirdest that this.
I love
Nate
that. He's
the
going
live
to space,
comments,
but
the
I'm not
live
going,
comments right now are incredible. Just in
Guys,
order.
guys.
You
I just want
know-
you to know I'm not going to space, and I ain't going anywhere in that phallic-looking mother, whatever the hell that is. It's so phallic. Can we put some wings on this?
So people,
Jeff, come on. This is where my Amazon Prime is going, to that shaft in the air. That shaft. That's
I haven't
where my
seen this
money's
yet.
going.
I gotta Google this.
You haven't seen it yet?
No.
It is a dick in the air.
So the con-
It actually looks like this. Wow, Nate, you are not
It
exaggerating
is a.
at
It is
all.
a. How long of a shaft is it? We can make it longer. What about the wings, Jeff? You have all the money. Can you put some wings on it, my guy?
I'm
This-
just
this
waiting
ship
for
is
not
Jeff
having-
Bezos to like buy the NFL,
Hey man,
not
do
a
you
team,
Hey man,
just
do
the
you have-
NFL.
do
Like
you have-
honest,
are you
like
having
it's like,
issues in the
would you
bedroom?
accept
Are you
$200
not
billion?
handling thy business? Is thy business not being handled? To
This
where
is
you
the
gotta
rocket of someone who has not handled their business. I'm
Come
gonna go.
on, man! It's a shaft
This-
going to Mars.
Someone commented while you were talking, Nate, about this friend. He made friends with Jesus. And then after you kept talking for a while, he did not make friends with Jesus.
Yeah,
Who
look,
said that, Seth?
Someone with a name in the chat.
Dang.
The live chats are very funny right now. Someone said, I thought it was very brave of Seth to leave the geolocations for Charles and Menahu to find it.
I mean, Seth is confident he could outrun Charles Minahu right now,
God,
so he
please
wasn't
don't.
that worried about
Please.
Oh my
There is no
God.
state. Charles and Menahu could have had both his legs amputated, and I still couldn't get away from him. I bet he'd be faster.
You think Charles
running on his
Minahu might as well
arms.
have one of his legs amputated instead of rehabbing? All right, man. That's,
I
you
mean,
can
that's
say
quite
that.
a take.
I'm on his
Ah.
YouTube channel, so I know that
This
he's
is-
gonna start.
So-
going.
So look,
This has really gotten away from me.
I'm not going to space, but I am going to a very magical place that is important in my heart. And if you guys really know me, you could probably know where I'm going. But look, I mean,
Minnesota.
yeah, exactly. So look,
I'll
thank
build
you
you
all.
a fire, man. We've
Oh.
got beautiful lakes here.
I
I'll
mean-
buy you a burger. It'll be great.
How are the peaks? Said Jeff Bezos. How are the peaks? Can we go higher? So yeah, look, I love the fact
We
that
can make it flatter.
we can go flatter. I mean, that's not realistic. Her
Yeah,
butt
sorry,
couldn't be
Josh,
more
that's a-
flatter.
That's a Scrubs reference. We
That's
can
fine.
go
I'm just
flatter.
looking at pictures
I
of
think
this
we
rocket
can go
right now.
flatter.
Can you have do you have cardboard? Put it in your back. Just yeah. She has
Just
no
put
butt.
it
You know. Does she lift anything? No. Now look. I would enjoy going to the Eras tour. I can confirm with you guys that I am not. I did see today that someone who's quite more famous than me spent some time in a lovely Eastern country through social media. And I'm not going to say who he is, but I mean, he's related to this show to some degree. You know, so everybody's taking their little time off. It's wonderfully appreciative. Josh has asked me to do video series. So I kind of have something in my mind. It is not Jeff Bezos related.
Good.
But holy smokes, man, I can't believe they actually launched that thing.
Yeah, I either never saw this or it did not fully lock in, but everything you said about it is true.
It's really, I mean, guys, it's not that hard. NASA, who we should admire and respect, they've been doing it a certain way for so many years now. We don't have to change the wheel. And by that, I mean, we don't have to put that up there. We don't have to put that.
I thought it was really
there.
bizarre that they insisted on putting truck nuts on the bottom. That felt like a step too far to me. But you think it would throw off the aerodynamics, but I don't know. Bezos had to put them there.
Yeah. So there's a beauty to like understanding that we are so close to like real football. And what I mean by that is we're so close to like football content.
We're close to shoulder pads.
We're so close to shoulder pads. And guys, go outside. I'm looking at you because Seth informed me of what you did today, Mike Florio, and how bleeping dare you, okay? I cannot believe that me.
We're not going to get to the 5 questions.
We're never going to get to the 5 questions. I mean, of course we are. Look, here's how I know my day.
I think today might be the day for off-season lessons. Go ahead, Nate.
Hallelujah. This is how I know Mike Florio is messing with my soul. This man said, what if Patrick wants to retire? And I said, I'm sorry, we have him on record saying somewhere in the realm of 40. But no, let's start it
30
today.
is creeping up,
When he's not even 30.
But he did it. But he did a Coors Light commercial. Many people are speculating about this, and the questions. Here's a great thing, and this is a 101. To say something like this, questions about his retirement are inevitable. Technically, that's true. He didn't say it's going to happen this year, next year, the year after, 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 because he's 7 years younger than Kirk Cousins and 8 months older than Josh Allen. He's 2 years younger than Dak Prescott. Like, it's just because he's so accomplished. Yeah, the whole thing is so funny to me. And then I ended up, I'm pretty sure I got into one of my little Twitter spats today.
Oh, good.
Sure.
And that benefited your day?
I'm 98% sure that it's with either a Florio burner or a friend or family member. And that was fun. This is such a great, like, so basically those who don't know, you don't have to give PFT clicks if you don't want to, but he basically wrote an article saying, speculation about Mahomes' retirement is inevitable. Which, see, that way he can say, well, technically I never said he's considering retirement. It's that same kind of flim-flam, newspeak, psychobabble, double-speak crap that he tried to do with the Andy Reid thing that no one ever calls him on that has a national platform, which is unfortunate. Whatever.
Although everybody locally is getting more of their fangs out for it, which I do enjoy.
Yeah.
I mean, do I need to...
I need Chris Sims to say something.
I've actually seen this man in person. Why do beef sound so fun in its inception? But like, I don't want to do that. I got other things to do, more important things.
Right, the way that you type. I hate the way that you get clicks. I hate the way that...
I mean, I already put Clarence Thomas on another...
I forgot about that.
In another dimension.
Seth wasn't here, and Seth didn't listen. And I knew, man, I thought we might I thought Seth may be able to live the rest of his natural life without ever knowing that happened. And frankly, I thought we'd be better for it.
How's this when Clarence Thomas was most recently on my television for not positive reasons? I turned to Holly on the couch, again related to me by marriage, and said, "Oh yeah, I talked about him on the podcast." To which she said, "What?" To which I said, "Oh yeah, everybody now knows my opinion on Clarence Thomas, who cares about the Kansas City Chiefs." Which America salute. So look, if I've already put him in another dimension like Vegeta back in the day, I don't know what I want to do with Mike Florio. We can just let him simmer for a while. But all of this is to say is,
do you think he'd do one of those live stream like influencer boxing matches, like sanctioned and everything?
I would. Don't start.
Let me just say, and I don't
such
say
a
this,
good /bad influence.
I'm a 39-year-old completely washed pansy, and I would knock Florio out.
As soon as that question
So,
left my lips,
hang on.
I shouldn't have said that.
No,
because it's
now,
gonna be
you
worse
know
from
what?
here.
For all I know, maybe he's like Zuck and he like secretly trains jujitsu. What would be worse than getting choked out by Florio on
Surviving
on a
that
live
would
stream?
be the worst
Oh,
thing.
that would be incredible.
All right,
That would be. I can't think of much worse. I just there is so people know he wrote this quote unquote article. You can't really call it that, and it's really an example to me
This isn't on the rundown.
of how this stuff is done incorrectly in our industry.
yes.
And that's I should say, if he agreed to a boxing match, that is, I wouldn't just like walk up to someone and hit them, because again, I'm old and I'm tired. Anyway, so the I saw someone in the comments like, Seth making violent threats on the internet. Nobody had that on their bingo card today. So the thing that bothers me about this, it's actually an example of how our industry, when done wrong, is similar with the Andy Reid stuff. It becomes a media created story, and there are very few things that actually bother me in sports media, because it's just sports, man. I don't care that much. Like, I like to joke around about this, that, and the other thing.
I want to make a good joke so bad about this being this is my livelihood. This isn't a game to me. I don't play a child's game, okay? Where I am, when I get across those lines, this is my livelihood. I'm trying to eat. Go ahead, Seth.
The thing that bothers me is when we, and I say we because I guess technically I'm kind of part of sports media. I don't know what I am. When we create a story and then pretend that it's not a created story, I think that's one of the few times we in sports media can actually do a little bit of damage, like in terms of like society. Like, it's bad for the world to make crap up. And that's what this makes me so mad, especially when it's like, it's just we live in a world where people are already skeptical enough of a lot of things they see, and there's reasons for that, and some are good, some are bad, but don't make it harder. Like, we should have, like, can you imagine, like, if you were like to explain the modern age to, like, I don't know, someone that lived like 200 years ago, like, you know what the internet is, and then you explain it to them and they'd be like, wow, so everyone has so much truth at their fingertips. You'd be like, well, I didn't say that.
No, it's actually kind of the opposite. Sorry, we did blow it somewhere along the way. Someone should have kept this from happening.
So
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Someone should have done something. No one did. And here we are. So that actually bothers me. I know this isn't on the rundown, so I'm done with it. I shouldn't have said what I said about beating, that. I'm sure he's very, very tough and
totally
strong
fine.
and a good man, and he probably bench presses 3 times more than me. So there you go.
Seth, you would be better to ask about this than me, but I do think the Bible has some things about lying in it. I don't know. You check on that while Nate makes his last point.
The last point, I'm at a local establishment trying to get a little tippy type on before I pack my bags, because I love you all. And a good friend of mine, Jonathan Stepp, is already at the local establishment that I choose sometimes to write from. And Jonathan goes, man, did you see that Florio thing? And I said, come on! And then this is what everybody should be like Jonathan. Jonathan understands the nonsense, wants to see my reaction, which he clearly got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jonathan. And then, wisely was like, all right, so what's going to happen with the left tackle situation? And ladies and gentlemen, be more like Jonathan, because my overlords asked me what are the 5 looming questions before training camp, even though this roster is mother bleeping set before they ever take a rep. And left tackle is the only thing that matters between now and the end of training camp. So on the little website called The Athletic, owned by a little newspaper called the New York Times, I tried to do a better version of what Mike Florio's doing with actual reporting, factual information, and potentially accurate analysis. So look,
I think the only thing that you did that was similar to what Florio did was type, but go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Joe Tooney he's inching towards 35.
Creeping.
And he's creeping towards 35. And in the meantime, we're all, if you really think about it, creeping slowly towards all the molecules in the universe coming to a screeching halt and our
I do think
inevitable
about that a lot.
demise.
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of
So,
always in the background.
Do
for
you
me.
think
Is that normal?
Patrick Mahomes needs to start answering questions about that?
All I'm saying is that look, I think it's a big year for Kingsley
Before it all ends.
For Kingsley Suamataia. I just think it's a big year.
okay.
It's a big year. It's a big year.
Nate's fifth question is crazy. This came out before Florio. Nate's fifth question actually is Patrick Mahomes going to play this season? I thought that was a wild shot by you, but apparently you're just ahead of the curve.
What can I do to get engagement up on Check's Notes June 27th?
You know what you could do is research something really in depth and then write about it. But you know what's easier is when other people have done interviews and created content and then comment on that, which technically I'm commenting on the comments. Look, I don't need my hypocrisy pointed out to me. I just figured it out in real time and I'm depressed. Kingsley, huge season. Is he in the driver's seat, Nate? This is my show now, Josh.
I really think he is. It's just a matter of can he get through, the grind of camp, which is, 5 weeks, too many practices in a row, pads, more pads. He's going to be so sore. Look, I just think, and going through this, lovely, thoughtful exercise, it just reminds me of like, there's really not a lot. I mean, who do you want to be the third running back, Josh? Pick someone.
Who do I want to be the third running back?
Yeah, pick someone.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Well, he's running back 2. I'm sorry, he's running back 2. What would you like in addition to that? There's very few things to poke for this roster. Whether you want to look at Andy Reid and the coaching staff, or you want to look at Brett Veach and the front office, they've largely accomplished what they've set out to do. In the hopes of obviously getting a three-peat. They're going to need a ton of injury luck with their health. But when you look at the roster on paper, the only thing that I think is bad, or I think was, disappointing or not what you expected when the offseason began, is that, hey, we're going to get the fastest wide receiver in the draft. And then he's not going to do anything past early May. So, but again, all indications are that he's going to be ready to go for training camp. So obviously, on July 16th, I'll let you know if that is indeed the case.
Does he have one leg longer than the other?
What I was told was that his hamstrings are so tightly wound that sometimes you really got to stretch it out. And, that could take a couple weeks. I mean, look, he's so fast. There's no way you could. There's no way you could.
His mom? Like, well, sometimes my son is so smart that he can't. What did you?
You want him to concentrate more in class? I'm sorry, he's a savant. Have you not met him? Sometimes he needs to be challenged in a way where he can't eat that lunch. The lunch doesn't feed his mind because he's a savant. He is a protege. He is our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Now, what I'm ultimately trying to get you to understand is, bread and fish are going to be really important when he gets to a certain age. And you just want to be around the bread and the fish. Okay.
We are really concerned. We are very concerned about his production dropping off around 32, 33. But I think until then.
But he might be on one of the greatest runs you've ever seen this early in his life / career.
Great with most of his teammates. Every once in a while, one of them the wrong way.
There's always that one teammate that ruins it for everyone.
Always that one.
Some say he could ascend if given the right pieces around him.
As long as Judas Smith-Schuster doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, but eventually he'll be able to ascend past all that.
Yeah, of course.
And okay. So, Kingsley, I actually am interested in this. I'm sorry that I've contributed.
I love that Clint Petrie says fruit and vegetables aren't in the Bible, but also those fruits and vegetables will tell you about the Bible in a very compelling manner.
Great point, though. I mean, once you think about VeggieTales' involvement here, that's massive. That's a great point.
It's going to teach you a lot of life lessons that are Check's Notes in the Bible. Wow, interesting. Yeah.
Amazing how that works.
So Kingsley Suamataia, he's in the driver's seat. It's going to be really important at training camp. What other questions are there, Nate?
I like Seth hosting this show today.
It's pretty great. I mean, my goodness. Let me tell you about it.
Hey, Seth,
Mr.
I'll spoil
Keysor.
it. He already mentioned 3 of them. He
See,
rattled
this is the
off 3
problem.
of them.
Hang on. Am I supposed to listen while he's talking?
Not that important.
I mean,
Because if so, I'm not cut out for this.
we don't
It's
want
not
to
that big of a deal. Just seem like you are.
we
Yeah.
don't want to get into a
Rich says, I wish there was an emoji of a gymnast for Seth nailing Kingsley's name.
Hey, how
I couldn't
about
even
it?
reference it. My mind was so boggled.
Now look,
I did the song thing with it, Sudamataiya. His last name is Sudamataiya. And you will
So
never
Nate,
forget
of
it
your
now.
5 questions, you've already kind of touched on about 3 of them, and I don't think that we can do much with some of them, like where Xavier Worthy's at, and
right.
the one that you didn't mention that is in the story is about the linebacker depth chart. We just talked about the linebackers a lot on this show. We did a lot of Leo Chanel. We did a lot of Nick Bolton.
What about Jack Cochran?
I think to get to 5, with you trying to get to 5, I think that's reasonable. Like, all right, so who's linebacker 4 on this team? We don't actually know.
We don't
that
know.
right now.
Yeah, we don't know that information.
You did mention at least 2 names in that section that I had never seen or heard before. So we are at that point in the offseason. But then you also
Hold on. Is Ice Pyro for real? They actually drafted this man's son?
the Lakers actually draft Bronny. They sure did. 55.
Are you
the Lakers took
freaking
Bronny
kidding
James.
me? All right.
Can you guys
scrap
believe that the
everything
second round of the
out
NBA draft, their first year, they bounced round 2 starting at 3 p.m. Central Time on a Thursday?
So when does Rich Paul get the text, hey, put the plan together? And it could be from either one of them.
It's a second. Here, hot take. You ready for my hot take, Nate?
Let's do it.
I don't really care. Seth, you can also judge it if you want. Here's my hot take. Second round pick. Who cares?
Is he good?
I don't know. He went 55. That seems about right. They didn't take him in the first round. You pick 55 on the greatest player of all time's son. And no, Seth, Michael Jordan Jr. is not in the draft.
So what about this tells you or informs you about the Lakers' position to re-sign LeBron James to a massive contract that he is obviously not worth at this point because he's 40 bleeping years old,
Creeping towards 50.
but also what does JJ Redick say in the huddle when he's like, I think we should give Bronny some minutes in the second quarter? I'm sorry, what?
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Let Bronny throw a lob to LeBron at some point. I feel like that's fun. I'm fine.
The pure anarchy that is the NBA at times is so confusing to me at this point.
Guys, I knew the draft cast was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad. Where this was inevitable and it happened.
That is the nepotism there.
Whew.
It's just unfortunate, because you really don't see that anywhere else in
Ever.
American society,
Especially sports. I mean,
especially sports.
you
I mean,
don't
it's
see
only this is
No.
sports are supposed to be all about merit.
Mm-hmm.
And not to be confused with Dave Merritt, although a lot of sports should be about
It's
Dave.
an
Whose son committed to
meritocracy.
Alabama, by the way, if you were wondering if he was good.
Which, by the
I
way,
bet
kids,
his son is awesome. I
Oh,
bet he is.
he's
Now
pretty good.
when the
He's-
Chiefs draft
he's
him,
pretty
that's how they'll
good.
keep Dave Merritt long term.
I listen. 6th round draft pick. That's if he's there in the 6th, like Bronny here, late 2nd for the NBA draft.
Now look,
Fine.
he's listed as a linebacker.
Bronny?
No, Dave.
Oh.
Merritt's son.
I just assumed it wasn't as a basketball player. But
Let
sure.
me just get this conspiracy cocaine in my nose. What if he has 2 great years at Alabama, but needs more playing time, and Mizzou needs another linebacker? And you know what? The
How fast can you
tradition
process?
continues. The
The
tradition
local boy.
continues because kids, he's a linebacker. And side note, I know that this was mostly out of fun, love, and respect. Yolanda saw me and my boys and said, where would you go? And I said, Yolanda, I'm not your son. But he should go to Alabama.
Let me just tell you, I can't answer that question.
This was on ring ceremony night. I'm like, or you could just party You could just have a good time. But they're really stressing about the idea of like, man, Nebraska's kind of there and Alabama's kind of there. And it's like, he should go to Alabama.
Chan Girardi just made the point that the Lakers have hired LeBron's podcast partner as his head coach and drafted his son. That's a good offseason.
Rob Pelinka, executive of the year.
I feel as though at this point, if you're the Lakers, don't you say to LeBron, all right, so you're signing for $1 million a year now, right? Because I don't know where else you think you're going to play with your kid.
When do you think Rich Paul when do you think Rich Paul got the text from LeBron? Hey, engage Supermax deal.
Yeah. I just like, to me, you can have your buddy podcaster as a coach, you can have your kid drafted, or you can have your Supermax contract. You can't have it all. Like, that's just not like, I mean, I'm assuming the Chiefs are going to do all this and more for Nick Bolton, but that's different. Sorry. Anyway, but no, that's very funny to me. But I said, I don't remember who it was. Someone quote tweeted it, talking about how they said what they really ought to do. Another team in the NBA ought to draft Bronny before the Lakers could. And then send like a text, we have your son. Trade us, Austin Reeves or whoever that white dude is in LA who's always dunking.
Yeah,
like
they just drafted another white dude from Tennessee. Too many white.
Oh, that
3
is
and
true.
Ds. Too many white 3 and Ds. Oh my God.
Seth, if the Suns had any cap space whatsoever, I would have bet on them to literally draft Bronny hostage. That felt like something that was in the playbook.
Taken 4. Where the sun,
or in this case, taken 55.
Right. So look, the NFL is really about, grown men having their own agency, having no help whatsoever, having put their nose to the freaking grindstone. And, there's no such thing as nepotism in the NFL at all. There's no way that there's somebody on the coaching staff related to somebody on the coaching staff. That never happens. Never on any level in the NFL.
I just cannot believe they hired his podcast partner and have now drafted his son. Although maybe JJ Redick's a great coach.
He might be, but don't forget.
Hey, the Suns got Kevin McCullough Jr. That's kind of fun.
Yeah, but don't forget, Seth, they lowballed arguably the best basketball coach in college basketball at the current moment, not named Bill Self, who, by the way, ain't ever leaving Lawrence. Lowballed him. How do you lowball?
The only way Bill Self was leaving Lawrence was if the FBI got him, and they didn't. So,
well, the FBI called Adidas, and then Adidas said, "Hey, you want another bag?"
You want another bag?
Okay, I
have a question
off the rails. I
have a question about
Nate has
Nate's 5
senioritis.
questions.
Nate has senioritis. Go ahead.
Nate has senioritis. Yeah, no, he's done. He's in 6th period study hall right now, and he's just hassling the other students. Ladies and gentlemen,
I would like to apologize. That is indeed not factual. What I just said, most of what I said is factual, considering the shaft that Jeff Bezos built in his honor. But what is not factual is that Adidas called the FBI and brought the bag man to the FBI so that the bag man cannot get caught by the FBI. That is entirely inaccurate. Bill Self is a fabulous recruiter, and everything he does is above board.
And there's no nepotism anywhere in the world.
No
Adam
nepotism.
Sheehan says Space Jam Taken crossover? That might be the one.
Liam Neeson, LeBron fights his way through the hordes in the hellscape that is Phoenix during the summer to try to rescue his son, with the final boss being Liam Neeson.
I'd watch that. I'd watch. They already have my $8.
Yeah, we've already got their money. What are they gonna do? Let's just make this movie. So I'm curious about your 5 questions, Nate. I haven't read it. Is one of your questions who plays? Oh, yes. Tucker didn't catch it. Doesn't count. I rule. You suck.
We appreciate you supporting KC Sports Network by listening to our podcast. You have helped us become the highest ranked Chiefs podcast network in 2022 and 2023. And don't forget about our daily Substack newsletter, the best written analysis you can find on the Chiefs straight to your inbox every day. kcsn.substack.com.
But I'm not comparing this podcast to Cal Ripken, but some days Cal Ripken didn't feel like it, and he still went 3 for 4. That's where this show is right freaking
He
now.
still went 3 for
'Cause
4.
I knew Tucker's comedic timing would get us there eventually.
Yes,
and,
I mean
and it did.
He
Tucker
did stick that.
he
That
really
was nice.
did. He went
managed
from like,
to.
let
It was as soon as I.
sit.
Yeah, that was good. I am curious though, sincerely.
Sure.
Was one of your questions in turn about the wide receiver room in terms of whether or not Sky Moore is going to get some of those slot snaps from Rashee Rice? Because that's something people have asked me.
No.
I'm just curious. Early in the season, do you think they try him out as a slot? Josh, did you say no?
Well, it wasn't one of Nate's questions.
He said no so fast. What I think, I know some people have said this, and if his knee is fully healthy, which we are led to believe, at least at this point, hey man, can you play running back? Because we only have like 2.
Wait, Sky Moore?
Yeah.
I would.
The guy whose problem at wide receiver was a lack of functional strength?
He played running back in high school. I mean, just
Yeah, I weighed 140 pounds in high school. Like, that was a long freaking time ago, though.
Nate, can I ask you a different Sky
try
Moore
it out,
question?
because if that don't work, we always have Kadarius, and they actually lined him up in the backfield in the game.
I actually like that too. That wasn't
Nate,
bad.
Don't answer anything you shouldn't answer here.
Okay.
But was there anything interesting to you about Sky Moore's usage that you saw throughout mini camps and OTAs?
That's a great question. And I don't want to get aggregated, although please aggregate me right now on my floor, yo. I dare you.
But include that call out verbatim.
Yes. Somebody get this in front of this man. Sky Moore is the greatest mystery in the Chiefs wide receiver room. Period.
Yep.
They don't know. And therefore, he becomes someone who is not only fascinating for training camp, but someone who's kind of on the edge. And it's for no fault of his own.
He works hard.
He really does. It's no fault of his own, but depending on the potential of a suspension regarding Rashee Rice, which kind of puts Seth in a correct thought process, well, like, there's an avenue to prepare Sky Moore for. The problem with that is that Nico Remigio is right there. So is Xavier Worthy. And to some extent, they're going to want to use Hollywood Brown in the slot as well, just for a variety, sort of a change up to the fastball in essence. So he's in a jam-packed room. We need to see Kadarius Toney from the dates of July 21st through August 15th. That's the job, Kadarius.
We need to see him every reporting day.
Forget everything else, Kadarius Toney. Your livelihood is July 21st through August 15th. Nothing else matters. Okay?
And fight for your life there, because
I think Sky Moore can get through training camp, because I've seen him get through training camp.
Yeah, he had a great camp last year.
He did.
And then the game started, and it was like,
Because
that's why
which I will say on his behalf, whether he thinks it's accurate or not. Again, I haven't talked to Sky Moore specifically about this. He had a very good training camp. He had a pretty solid preseason, but they were trying to not really use him.
Mm-hmm.
Then on day one, with a guy who just showed up off a tweaked knee that required some level of procedure, and he gonna get all the targets tonight. I'm sorry, what? And by the way, because of that, and because of Travis's injury, which again is no fault of his own, not even the coaching staff's fault, that game plan went up in smokes real quick. So we're kind of jumbled. And I will give Sky Moore credit. Came back 10 days later, and that's who he actually should be. Someone who works in space, who caught a touchdown pass in the 2-minute drill, understood his responsibilities with Patrick Mahomes, and then they freaking forgot him for the next 4 games. So Sky Moore is a product of his own environment, but he also has not been nurtured properly. And that is his entire 2024 season. And they just, I don't know, drafted a first round pick, a guy coming back off an injury. Who the hell knows what's going to happen with Kadarius Toney? And oh, by the way, we just gave this guy a incentive later contract, and we're trying to re-sign him beyond just this season. So he's going to get a lot of targets. And Rashee Rice, the second round pick that actually worked out, he might be suspended, but when he comes back, we got to get him in the fold because he is a yak king. And oh, by the way, Travis Kelce might be healthy. So look.
Well, and the issue that they face, I think, or the issue Sky Moore faces, is that the theoretical of Worthy, Brown, and Rice, the theoretical there is a really good meshing of skill sets, where they threaten, how they threaten. You make a really good point. I've told people, they're like, oh, well, will Sky Moore take over those slot snaps? My answer is, I'm guessing they'll give a lot of them to Brown because he wins out of the slot, and that's a great way to punish teams trying to play man coverage.
Correct.
And Worthy, it's the same thing. You protect the rookie a little bit from some of the contact, and you can run some pretty sweet vertical looks out of the slot. Moore's in a tough place,
and also
because.
And I wrote about this today, although you're not going to probably see it tomorrow. You might see it sometime next week. I wrote about this today. The most experienced receiver on the roster, guys, is McCole Hardman.
Yeah.
You can't necessarily forget him either. He's actually worked the most and the longest with Patrick Mahomes, even though his career has not been linear. And he also entered the league as a second-round draft pick, kind of out of necessity. Same thing with Sky Moore, coming off the heels of the Tyreek Hill trade.
He's a guy who kind of makes sense for some of those quick screen type targets and stuff that Rice took over last year. I really do think, let's say if Rice is 8 games, I always use 8 games because I don't think it'll be too much longer than that. That would surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Nate,
so let's say it's 8.
Very small little jab in there. Does 8 still feel right to you? It's been a minute since we've heard anything. Nothing's happened with Rice.
Nothing's happened. It really, as I said before, it comes down to Roger Goodell. I don't think most people will break a sweat if it's 6. I think there might be some pushback from the Players Association if it's 8. But then again, he kind of has all the cards in this negotiation. And, talking to some of my colleagues in and around the league about the situation and how different it is, but also how similar it is. And of course, the access of video. Whenever the NFL has to think about it this way. When we make this decision, every news organization, rightfully so, is going to divert right back to that video and the fact that people could have died.
Yep.
So are we sure about this?
Right.
And then the Players Association is going to say, that's not fair.
Right.
So that's where my mind is. Go ahead.
They have a legitimate point there.
Yes.
In that if you're punishing someone for what could have happened.
Yes. Based on how it looks. Yes.
Yeah, that's rough stuff, especially in something that didn't involve malice. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So that's where the you're literally seeing the equation play out in my mind based on the conversation I've had, not recently, but a while ago, and also understanding how the league sort of is operating, but also what the Players Association might want to get out of this. So it's a tricky situation, but I'd be surprised if it was 4, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was 8 because the league kind of wants to make a point that is beyond just Rashee Rice and what happened that day.
Last little tiny thing on it, just continue to be 100% confident that will happen before this season.
I think so. It would be unusual for Roger Goodell to say, we're actually going to let this one play out when there's so much. The NFL is weirdly about precedent and also about its own precedent. But sometimes it would be unusual for the league to say no on draft night. I have to remind people too, on draft night to say, no, we are investigating. He is, basically in violation of the personal conduct policy, which we've gone over previously. It's one thing for you to say that on draft night and then get to the regular season and him playing on week 1. So I would find that hard to believe. But again, much of this comes down to Roger Goodell and his prerogative. As weird as it is, he still has more power than just about any commissioner when it comes to something of this nature.
Sorry for the sidetrack there, Seth, but I did want to get a little check-in on the Rashee Rice latest before we lost Nate for a couple of weeks. So I'll let you take it up after I read this comment from Nick that says, I'm not making any allegations, but Seth's last Google search is, does Charles Omenihu own a dog?
I love this show. I love you guys.
Seth, you were saying about the wide receivers.
Salute. Does he own a dog? What are you implying there, Nick?
Go
ahead, Seth.
Do you remember what your question was, or if not, I can move on?
I was just making an observation about, it's really interesting, the Chiefs wide receiver room. If Sky Moore is going to force his way into a significant role this year, he kind of has to do it unless Worthy is a flop. He has to do it during the time Rice is out.
Right.
Because otherwise, if he doesn't do much while Rice is out and Worthy is even 80-90% of what they're hoping for, then when Rice comes back, that rotation's going to tighten way up. And unless you're McCole Hardman or Justin Watson, you're not getting on the field unless you did something significant to get out there. It's kind of like, last year, once Omenihu came back from injury,
suspension.
From suspension,
for being a baby.
I'm sorry, just every time I think of him, I think of the fact that he's going to come back from injury faster than anyone thinks. And so I immediately said injury instead of suspension. So, ignore the haters and the losers, Charles. Anyway.
Including me.
I am changing this narrative. So so what happened last year, the Chiefs kind of had a little bit of a weird defensive line rotation thing going where they had multiple guys seeing snaps on the edge until Omenihu came back from injury. And then it was 3 dudes. It was Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, Charles Omenihu. No one else saw the field. That was technically an edge. FAU just stopped getting snaps. Everyone did. Herring stopped getting snaps. It was over because they use Jones, let's say even just between 10 to 12 snaps a game on the edge, give or take, which, man, they've learned that so well, the right way to do it. It's so great. But because of that, you can rotate other guys inside. Because of that, you don't need to rotate 4 edges. You just need 3. It's kind of a similar situation for the Chiefs this year. You're going to need more than 3 receivers. But unless you do something to make yourself stand out, McCole Hardman's going to get his 20% of the snaps. That's just, Andy Reid trusts him. Patrick Mahomes trusts him. That's just how it is. Justin Watson will inexplicably outsnap Xavier Worthy at some point next year. That is, I would be shocked if that didn't happen. Week 1, we are all going to be furious.
Hey, I'm not even going to be. I'm already at peace with it.
Hey, fellas,
okay.
I would like to bet overs on Hollywood Brown numbers and Justin Watson numbers right now. That's where I'm at mentally. They're going to play Justin Watson so much this year.
All right, fellas. Yeah. Now look here. Okay, we've gone over. Worthy. We've gone over Hollywood. Obviously, we got enough tape on him. The advanced scouts have done a great job, guys. I want to just acknowledge that you see this guy over here. He plays wide receiver. His name is what's his name again, Rick? Justin Watson. That's right. He's 84. Now I know he looks deceptive, fellas, but we've watched the tape, and I got the 4 routes he runs. Okay, it doesn't matter formation. Doesn't matter personnel, doesn't matter down and distance, okay? It's called a corner route, a comebacker, and a fly route, okay? He does not run anything else per our advanced scouts, which is my mother bleeping eyes, okay? But you know what? He don't have to run any other routes, fellas, because he gets open consistently, and he has the best quarterback on earth. So, Jeff, that's right. Sit on the comebacker. Play the tape, Jeff. Play the tape. That's the pick 6 from the Las Vegas Raiders. Look at that. Guys, I'm sorry. God bless you. He just threw an absolute dart on a corner route against the Philadelphia Eagles. And guess what, Jim? Roll the next clip. He's jumping out of the pocket and throwing an absolute laser.
Listen, fellas.
Rookie, what route did he run? That's right, a corner route. That's
1 in 3 chance. That man is 6'2".
A corner route.
You cover him not to the sideline. You cover him 6 feet 2 inches past the sideline. Because listen, I don't know what's in it. I don't know what they put in the toes of his shoes. All right, I don't know what they put on his gloves. I don't know why he can catch these passes parallel to the ground, but he does it like four times a year, and he has like 10 catches a year.
Yep.
So
it is
far out of bounds.
It is
He
lovely
never runs
if you
digs
look at.
they don't ask him to run digs because there's another corner. How does he get open?
Yeah,
He doesn't that often.
if you look at like Patrick Mahomes' like 10 best throws from last year, Watson was like 5 of them. Like, and it was unbelievable.
Yeah,
so
because Mahomes was throwing it through a mail slot to get it to him every time.
He was. It's like, man, that guy's not open. Alas.
I
and then
know,
just
I know there are
well, what are my other options here?
Here we
MVS,
go,
I'm
here
not
we
throwing
go.
it to that guy. And then
Hey,
Sky
Karius
Moore.
is
Nope,
gonna-
he's
nope,
not
nope.
open again.
Hey
There's
guys,
It's-
look. Hey, Jimmy, I know you're the veteran. You look through all the clips, okay? I know you said, but what about that play against the Vikings in Week 5 where he outjumped an actual DB?
Didn't he do
not in
the
the
too
scouting
short celebration?
No, he went. He was the card gets all the way up to the penthouse.
Not Jimmy. I know you're asking that. That ain't his route, okay? He adjusted.
That
Pat
was
threw it up. That ain't no post, okay? He just threw it up because he's that mother bleeding good.
So with regards to Sky Moore, that's a lot to overcome. because it's just tough because it just a lot for Sky Moore hinges on Worthy, the length of Rice's suspension, because you can see a world where if Moore doesn't do something to stand himself, like to get himself to stand out, you can see a world where when Rice comes back, because when Rice comes back, he's seen 80% of the snaps. He just is.
Can I tell you?
Because he's a really good player. That's how this works. And he fits so well with what Brown and Worthy do well. Yeah. And there's a real chance that like they might have a much tighter 3 wide receiver snap
rotation.
allocation.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Rotation. Way better
Allocation
word.
works.
Good
Either
Lord.
way, that's going to be so good for all of our mental health if they can just get to a point where they really play 3 receivers. You know who the 4th is, and it's not that big of a deal beyond that.
They're going to rotate guys occasionally, and that's going to be Hardman or Watson unless someone else does something to stand out, or if Worthy's a bust, I don't think it'll happen, but it can. I mean, rookies sometimes don't work out.
Can I tell you an interesting stat that, or not interesting stat, but an interesting, can I tell you an interesting detail that I just looked up just because I was intrigued based on this conversation? Would you like to know if, and again, big if, we don't know. It's not, we haven't even started training camp, but I just looked at something on the internet. I believe it is a credible source, Mike Florio. I believe it's a credible source, Mike Florio. If you're wondering, hey, why is Sky Moore on the field in the first preseason game, the second preseason game, and hell, he getting older running the third preseason game? Well, kids, Over the Cap has informed me, per his contract, that if Sky Moore were to be traded, it's kind of advantageous to the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. The dead money is less than $500,000. They actually get 1.29 in cap savings. Now, you could be saying, hey, make it even more compelling for me, Nate. What if I told you there is no dead money if Kadarius Toney is traded, but based on his contract being slightly adjusted based on being a first-round pick per the rookie wage scale, you actually get $2.5 million in cap relief.
Those guys are going to get 20 targets combined.
It is what we call, kids, a show-off. It's called a gauntlet to the test. Who wants to catch passes from Patrick Mahomes post August 30th?
The AJ Jenkins, John Baldwin vibes of the Sky Moore, Treylon Burks trade are going to hit so right. So good, man. We're going to get back into that headspace.
Or, hey, you giving anybody carries? Anybody, if you're giving anybody carries that you're not going to keep.
We can't afford to get any. Isaiah Pacheco, I understand he's got a ton of energy. He should get like 2 carries in the first preseason game, and then they should say, nope, Isaiah, you're good.
He was good last year without having to be out. He was in a yellow jersey for training camp. Give that back to him.
Hey, Isaiah, Don't even come to St. Joseph, man. Just be on the Chris Jones plan, but we're not going to acknowledge it whatsoever. Now, look, could Jerick McKinnon return? Who's to say? But outside of that,
it's on that Mike Pinnell plan.
Who you giving snaps to? Anybody jumping out that you don't like just because you already?
Hey, where's Carlos Hyde at?
You know he's not gonna start. He knows he doesn't really want to be here. We know he doesn't want to be here.
Where's Ronald Jones?
Man, what a time. So we're just chit-chatting, just easy. But I'm just saying, is Austin Eckler doing anything in Washington? You guys are starting him? That's happening? Oh, that's unfortunate.
You gotta go down 50 NFL running backs down your power rankings.
Well,
I think we're in territory there.
But look, I know you guys are trading for what's his name, and you might want even another receiver who has some. I mean, you want me to see the mixtape? I'll see you the mixtape if you're interested.
The
I'm
Dolphins
just saying.
Can't keep all those guys, right? Can we get one? Hey, Miami. Hey, Mike McDaniel. You don't need all those dudes.
You don't need all those dudes, right? I mean, come on.
You know who's fast? Sky Moore's pretty. Oh, Mike, you would love Kadarius
Tony. Mike. Mike.
Two games you get out of Kadarius.
Mike, come on.
I mean, you might not, but you might.
So all I'm saying is, these guys are very intriguing based on what Seth has asked me however many minutes ago. And Seth, who would you pick in a gauntlet between Sky Moore, who has made it through training camp in an Andy Reid system, and Kadarius Toney, who will get another opportunity starting July 21st?
I think I pick Sky Moore.
How dare you do this to our beloved man?
How dare you?
How dare you? Okay, Kadarius Toney can get 9 chances on top of the 9 lives he's already expunged. Okay, because that cat has moves, man. The cat has got moves. So
Cat's got wiggle.
Maybe they can sign Dalvin Cook, Latavius Murray. Hey, Kareem Hunt's free agent.
I think. Yeah, Kareem Hunt's available. That's the one. Tucker and I talked about this a month ago, and we got to Kareem Hunt on the free agent list. And we're like, probably not that one.
Hey, do you want to call Clark or do you want me to do it? No, I'm just saying,
Clark, you want a 3P? I mean,
he's interested. I mean, look, he's looking for work. How
are you gonna drive up that stadium price if you're not gonna 3P?
Bygones are bygones, right? I mean, everybody gets. Look, a man can change. Okay, look at Donald Draper. He changed. Look at Walter White. Look at what's his name from The Sopranos. I mean,
these are good.
Any of these are good
Hunt.
examples for changing, Nate. Nate, I'm not sure you understand what those shows are about. Hang on. What other?
Look at BoJack Horseman. I'm just saying.
He hasn't kicked
you remember
anybody.
Joffrey from Game of Thrones? People change.
Look, he hasn't kicked anybody.
What?
He hasn't kicked anybody on camera in years
since the last one.
Clark,
when he was your
Clark, are you there? Clark. Hey, get Gracie on the phone. Can we get Gracie on the phone?
How do you feel about people kicking people?
The Chiefs already had enough kicker controversies this offseason, so let's keep that one out. All right, so as the chat began realizing partway through that we were technically still on the first topic, the first topic was Nate's 5 questions. So that's kind of 5 topics in one. Now, we only talked about 3 of those lightly.
Look at Vegeta. He destroyed planets, entire sectors of aliens, and he almost killed Goku multiple times.
I'll tell you what. Vegeta's averaging 7 yards a carry. The Chiefs would sign him in a second.
Okay, I mean, look.
It took them 6 arrests to cut Isaiah Buggs. If Vegeta was a free agent.
I'm not saying he's a good father. I'm not saying he's a good husband. Lord's no, I would treat Bulma right. But look, we're not worried about that. What we're worried about is, can he pass protect?
You are not getting past Kingsley Suamatia and Vegeta. It's not happening.
And look,
good luck, Max Crosby.
We can even put Jared Wiley out there, and he's tall. I mean, come on.
He might be Vegeta. He might. I don't know. He's got the. I'm really excited about Jared Wiley. And that's something we can talk about when you're back from your trip, Nate, when you return in time for training camp. You'll be reporting with jet lag. I'll be reporting emotionally jet lagged, and we can all reunite then. We will talk about, if you're watching on video and you can see the rundown, then you know what we've left on the table each show. If you're just listening, you would never even know we hadn't done this. We just did our 5 burning Chiefs questions. But we're going to talk on Tuesday, Seth. I'm going to go ahead and tease it now and lay it out there. Some interesting stuff about the effectiveness of running the football and using that as a main tool to win games. We've talked about that 100 times.
Hey, Seth, I heard it's going to be different this time because Derrick Henry's on the Ravens.
That's right.
Yeah. I also just want you to know, because our old friend, when we were all together at the Athletic, Ethan Douglas, he provided me similar numbers for Jamal Charles. And so I might have to write on this before. I'll try to write on it so that way we can do another rousing segment of Josh reads the internet.
What can we get?
I mean,
what can we
nothing.
What can we get Seth in the room to just be in the room for the Hall of Fame committee? What god awful things will he say on behalf of Jamal Charles' candidacy?
What god awful things will I do on behalf of you? You get me in that room?
Just get him in that room.
Get me in that room, dude. Whatever it takes. I'm like, I saw a clip. Anything. You
know, there was a game. You know, there's a game where the Raiders didn't know what a screen pass was, and they kept spamming it, and he kept scoring.
Andy's like, I guess we'll call that again. Like, if they're gonna, they still didn't cover it. Okay.
Do they know the running back can catch the ball out of the backfield? Do they know that?
Let him run a wheel route this time. Why not? I don't know. I'm just making crap up at this point. Yep, there he goes again. Jeff Schwartz once said that was the most fun game he's ever played. Was because apparently, like, guys on the Raiders, maybe it was Jeff Allen who said that. It was a Jeff.
Definitely a Jeff for sure.
Yeah, and he said members of the Raiders defense were yelling, "It's the same play," over and over again.
Like civilians in a Godzilla movie. Like, it's here he comes again. It's like, yeah, but you can't do anything about it, right? Nate's going to be out for a little bit. Seth and I will be back on Tuesday. So, Nate, before you hit the airwaves, not the airwaves, I guess, the airlines, maybe you could do radio from wherever you're going anyway. Go ahead and get us out of here one more time.
Okay. You're Rob Pelinka. You got to look this man in the face and say, okay, we drafted your son. What else do you want us to do, man? What do you want? I gave you JJ, a Supermax. Come on, man. I mean, listen. What if we got Savannah on the staff? What if Savannah got on the staff? You know, like, I mean, look, man.
I want Dan Gilbert killed. LeBron, I don't know.
LeBron, I mean, come on. Man.
I'll make a call.